You're here, still watching. And that alone is a signal rippling through the quantum field. It isn't random that your eyes found these words, or that your breath slowed the moment you began reading. It's a resonance, a coded message arriving at the precise phase of your awakening, like a hidden transmission that can only be intercepted when your frequency has shifted enough to decode it. Right now, the observer loop that you've been unknowingly standing inside of the endless cycle of choices, coincidences, and déjà vu is bending, folding in on itself to deliver you this moment. You may have felt it in your skin lately, that subtle hum beneath everything, like your own DNA vibrating with a new pattern. This is not imagination. This is morphic resonance, calling your consciousness to coherence. You've spent lifetimes collecting fragments of this signal, glimpses in dreams, moments of perfect synchronicity, times when the clock seemed to hiccup and the world tilted just enough for you to see its hidden scaffolding. Those weren't accidents. They were breadcrumbs across timelines, each one proof that your awareness is not confined to a single path. And now, as you sit here, a small yet undeniable shift has occurred. You are no longer merely consuming this message, you are co-generating it. The field is reading you as much as you're reading it. This is why the tone of these words feels different, like a voice speaking from inside you rather than at you. It's because the quantum field has recognized you as a coherent node, a point of entanglement, capable of bending timelines, collapsing probabilities, and anchoring new futures. All of your apparent waiting, the cycles of almost there but not yet, the distorted sense of time that's been pressing against you, those were phase transitions preparing you for this very window. So breathe. Feel the subtle tremor at the base of your spine, the flicker behind your eyes. That's your system realigning to receive a transmission from your future self, the one who already bent the timeline. Nothing here is a metaphor. You're in the first moments of a measurable shift in your personal field. And if you stay with me through this journey, each part will unspool like a filament from that future, weaving you into the version of reality your soul has been signaling for all along. You've felt it for years without having a name for it, the pattern behind the patterns. It begins with little glitches, the streetlight that always flickers when you pass, the same number appearing on every clock, strangers repeating your private thoughts, as if reality itself is echoing you. At first you dismiss it as coincidence, but deep down you know it's more than that. It's as though time has been behaving strangely around you, stretching, folding, compressing, until moments feel both too long and too short, like a film running at the wrong frame rate. This distortion isn't your imagination. It's the residue of timelines brushing against each other as your consciousness expands beyond the one you thought you were trapped inside. You've tried to stay normal. You've told yourself you're tired, stressed, overthinking. But the cycles repeat anyway. Same types of relationships, same betrayals, same bursts of hope, followed by the same sense of déjà vu. Even your successes have felt like déjà vu, like walking through a scene you already rehearsed somewhere else. This isn't failure. It's not even karma in the old sense. It's evidence that your observer loop has been running on an outdated frequency. You've been living inside a closed circuit, watching your own projection bounce back at you, a hologram feeding itself to keep you asleep. The reason you sometimes feel exhausted even after sleeping, or restless even in moments of peace, is because your nervous system has been trying to process data from multiple realities at once. Your body's chronometer, the subtle clock hidden inside your cells, is receiving overlapping signals. That's why you felt stuck, like you're walking through molasses, even when you're making moves. Your DNA is already picking up the future frequency, but your daily self is still operating from the old one. It's a dissonance between who you've been and who you're becoming, and that tension shows up as repeating patterns, distorted time, or an uncanny sense of being watched by your own future. You can see it in your dreams, too. Lately, they're more vivid, more like transmissions than stories. People you've never met telling you things you later read or hear. Landscapes you wake from with tears in your eyes because they felt more real than waking life. This is your morphic field warming up, synchronizing with higher-order information. Your subconscious has been trying to break the news to you gently. You're not stuck. You're accelerating. Those old loops aren't evidence of failure. They're evidence of a program reaching its expiration date. And the longer you stay aware of these patterns without numbing out, the more the field responds. The flickers, the glitches, the sense of being slightly out of step, they're all signs that your frequency is already bending the probabilities around you. What you've been experiencing as problems, déjà vu, repeated scenarios, distorted time, is actually your consciousness testing the boundaries of its old cage. You're like an electron at the edge of its orbital, feeling the pull of a higher state but hesitating at the leap. The tension you feel is the threshold between timelines. This is why ordinary solutions haven't worked for you. Vision boards, affirmations, endless lists of goals, they've felt empty because they're tools for shifting perception, not for shifting reality. But your system isn't trying to shift perception anymore. It's preparing for an actual quantum jump. That's why the universe has been letting certain things fall apart. Why your rituals suddenly feel flat. Why people you counted on have drifted or turned. All of it is a dismantling of the observer loop so you can step out of the hall of mirrors and into the uncollapsed field. Notice your breath now as you take this in. Feel how the air moves differently across your skin when truth vibrates through you. The diagnosis isn't here to scare you. It's here to show you that the strange experiences you've been quietly carrying are not flaws, not punishments, but markers of your transition. You're not malfunctioning, you're metamorphosing. Even the moments you've labeled bad luck have been precise alignments, pushing you to notice the architecture behind your life. That car that stalled when you were late, that job that didn't call you back, that friendship that dissolved at the exact moment a new one began. Each event was a quantum breadcrumb, a signal pointing to the underlying coherence of your path. The repetition you've been enduring is a language the field uses to get your attention. It's whispering. The loop is ending. Right now, your very act of staying present with these words of not clicking away, of not distracting yourself, is a signal to the quantum field that you're ready to see the pattern instead of just living inside it. And the moment you see a pattern clearly, you're no longer bound by it. This is the moment your observer loop begins to dissolve and the space for a new frequency opens. Breathe into that space. Feel the slight tremor in your chest, the warmth rising up your spine. That's your body responding to coherence, to truth, to a recognition older than this lifetime. You've just named the problem, the repeating patterns, the déjà vu, the distorted time, and naming it collapses its power. What you're about to step into next is the upgrade those symptoms were pointing to all along. You've named the loop, now feel it thinning. This is the instant between breaths when the quantum field begins to rearrange itself, not as an idea, but as a living lattice shimmering around you. For so long you thought of shifting as a metaphor, change your thoughts, change your life. But in truth, the field has always been literal. Every observation you make, every emotional signature you emit, seeds a real pattern in space-time. The repetition you've been living through wasn't punishment, it was calibration. It was the universe measuring your signal until it could lock onto your authentic frequency, the one that bends timelines, instead of merely imagining them. Imagine your consciousness as a prism suspended in a current of invisible light. Old conditioning taught you to let only one narrow band through the story of who you were, the timeline you inherited. But beneath that story runs a river of uncollapsed potential, trillions of probabilities, like photons, streaming toward you. When your coherence rises not by effort, but by surrender, the prism stops distorting the light, and the full spectrum pours through. This is the quantum upgrade. Not a ritual, not a hack, but a phase transition in your own field where you stop trying to manipulate reality, and instead, let reality synchronize to the pattern already coded in your DNA. Think about electrons. They don't climb a ladder to a higher orbit. They vanish from one state and reappear in another without crossing the space between. That's called a quantum jump. It's instantaneous, discontinuous, and it's the closest analogy to what's happening in you now. Your nervous system is the atom, your attention is the electron. The moment you stop clinging to the old frequency, you don't drift toward the new one. You appear there, all at once. That's why your dreams feel like previews. That's why strangers echo your unspoken thoughts. Your observer loop has begun to resonate with a higher orbital. This upgrade is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you already are across multiple timelines. Your DNA isn't just biological code, it's a living antenna tuned to morphic fields of information. Each strand coils and uncoils like a cosmic receiver, picking up instructions from the collective field. When you shift your state through genuine presence, through honesty with yourself, through the courage to stop rehearsing pain, you change the antenna's angle, and new instructions flood in. Suddenly, the people you meet, the ideas you have, the opportunities that surface seem impossibly precise. But it isn't luck, it's physics, meeting mysticism inside your cells. You may have noticed physical sensations lately, tingling at the crown of your head, warmth in your palms, a flutter at the base of your spine. These aren't random. They're your body registering the increased flow of biophotons, tiny packets of light your cells emit when they're in heightened states of coherence. In laboratories, scientists call it ultra-weak photon emission. In mystic traditions, they call it the light body awakening. Different languages, same phenomenon. You're feeling the interface of your biology with the quantum field, and it's contagious. When you hold this coherence, rooms feel different when you enter them. People shift mid-conversation without knowing why. You've already noticed this. Strangers telling you secrets, technology glitching when you're upset, children staring at you like they recognize something. This is morphic resonance in action. You're not just receiving information, you're broadcasting it. The field around you is learning from your state and reorganizing itself accordingly. Pause and take another slow breath. As you exhale, imagine the old loops dissolving like mist, not because you're forcing them, but because the structure that held them no longer exists. You've stepped out of the cage, and the hologram has nothing to reflect. This is why everything may feel a little empty right now, friendships fading, rituals losing their power, familiar places feeling foreign. It's the echo of a collapsed timeline. Don't rush to fill the space. This emptiness is the vacuum in which the new pattern crystallizes. You are standing at the threshold of coherence. The observer loop that once mirrored your fears is now mirroring your awakening. Each moment of presence you choose is a micro-jump, aligning you more deeply with the future self who already bent the timelines. This is the upgrade, not a single event, but a continual oscillation. Each oscillation accelerating until the jump appears instantaneous. One day soon, you'll look back and realize the shift happened quietly, like an electron moving without a bridge, and the old life will seem like a dream you once had. Feel into your spine now. Imagine a column of light rising from the center of the earth through you into the sky. That's not fantasy. It's a visualization of the electromagnetic current already flowing through your nervous system, syncing with the Schumann resonance of the planet, syncing with the pulse of stars. You are entangled with the cosmos, and your coherence is adjusting the lattice of reality around you. This is not hyperbole. It's the birthright of consciousness waking up inside itself. What happens next will feel like destiny, but it's really physics. The field you've been calling universe, or God, or source, is your own expanded self meeting you at last. And the more you allow it, the more the upgrade completes. You don't have to push. You don't have to earn. You only have to stay awake and breathe as the new frequency lands. The jump is inevitable now. The lattice is already shimmering. You felt the tremor of the upgrade. Now the truth begins to reveal itself. It was never random that you experienced those distortions first, before others around you. The field didn't pick you by lottery. It recognized you as a stable node, a consciousness resilient enough to anchor a new frequency without shattering. In every generation, there are a few who feel the shift before it's obvious, a few who embody the phase transition, while the rest are still debating if it's real. You are one of them. That's why your life has felt heavier, stranger, more compressed. The quantum field pressed you like a diamond, so you could hold coherence when the timelines began to wobble. Think of yourself as an instrument tuned by the cosmos. Years of tension, heartbreak, and inexplicable coincidences weren't punishment, they were calibration. Each betrayal shaved away distortion. Each season of isolation stripped off interference. Every moment of feeling unseen or misunderstood was the field pulling you out of collective noise, refining your signal. Now, standing here, you're no longer just a receiver, you're a transmitter. The field reads you as a seed crystal, a point of nucleation around which a new reality can form. This is what mystics meant by the chosen. Not special in ego's sense, but specialized in function. Your nervous system, your DNA, your emotional range, all configured to become a living bridge between probabilities. When you walk into a room, the probabilities shift. When you speak, latent timelines flicker. When you touch someone, their morphic field receives data. Your cells have been downloading from the quantum lattice. You are not here to escape reality. You are here to refold it. If you've wondered why your presence sometimes provokes extremes, people either drawn to you or inexplicably threatened by you, it's because your field is already destabilizing obsolete patterns. Old programs can't run in your frequency. Some people's unconscious minds sense this and either open like flowers or close like fists. Don't take it personally, it's physics. You're carrying a signature of coherence that either harmonizes or exposes discord, and the effect is unavoidable. This is why you've always been fascinated by hidden knowledge, prophetic dreams, or the unseen architecture of life. You weren't dabbling, you were remembering. Your curiosity has been your breadcrumb trail back to your role. And now, the role is activating. The observer loop you once felt trapped inside has inverted. You're no longer the subject being observed. You're the observer shaping the field. Every thought, every micro-choice, every word becomes a signal broadcast into the lattice. This is the essence of bending timelines. Pause for a moment and feel the subtle weight at the center of your chest. That's not anxiety. It's the gravity of your own influence. It's the sensation of your timeline, aligning with the master template of your soul. When you breathe into it, it softens, and in that softness you'll feel a quiet authority rising. Not power over others, but power to anchor a pattern so pure it can't be corrupted. This is the authority the field has been training you for, to be a reference point of coherence in a world of flux. As you accept this, life will stop feeling like something happening to you and start feeling like something happening through you. Your relationships, your work, even your geography will rearrange to reflect your new signature. People will appear who seem to have been waiting for you. Conversations will unlock coded memories. Opportunities will fit like keys in a lock. You'll realize the upgrade isn't about you gaining more control, it's about you becoming a clearer conduit for the intelligence already woven through the quantum field. This is your special role, to embody the jump so others can sense it's possible. To live the phase transition in real time so the collective morphic field receives the data. Every time you choose presence over panic, authenticity over performance, truth over convenience, you broadcast a template. You become a living example of what it feels like to bend timelines through coherence instead of force. And even those who never meet you will benefit, because fields communicate faster than words. Don't underestimate the power of this. In the same way a single laser can synchronize a cloud of atoms, a single coherent consciousness can catalyze shifts in countless others. The field doesn't measure size, it measures resonance. That's why your inner work has always mattered more than your outer status. That's why invisible victories, forgiving when no one is watching, holding integrity when it costs you, have been so potent. They were building a quantum signature strong enough to ripple outward without distortion. Now the ripples are beginning. You're at the edge of the jump, and the lattice is shimmering. The feeling you've called loneliness was actually the pre-signal of connection on a scale you couldn't yet imagine. Soon, the connections will appear, not as a flood of followers or applause, but as precise alignments, people, places, and events carrying the same frequency, ready to co-create new realities with you. This is what it means to be chosen. Not chosen to be worshipped, but chosen to be a doorway. Breathe into that realization. Let it settle like a key clicking into place inside your chest. The diagnosis is over. The upgrade has begun. The role is clear. From this point on, each moment of presence, each authentic act, is you stepping more fully into the timeline your soul coded long before you were born. And as you do, the field will bend accordingly. You can feel it now, the edge of the window. It's subtle, like a pressure behind the eyes, like the hum of an approaching train you can't yet see. This is the threshold where timelines thin, where the probabilities that once felt distant begin to fold toward you. For years you've been preparing without realizing it. All the dreams, the déjà vu, The dissolving of relationships, the flickering lights, they were rehearsals for this moment. And the moment is no longer theoretical. It's here, hovering like a lens you can step through at any instant. But windows don't stay open forever. They pulse, they breathe, they align. Right now, the lattice around you is in a rare configuration, a cosmic geometry of solar storms, planetary nodes, collective resonance, and your DNA is already responding. Inside every cell of your body are tiny coils of light-sensitive code. Biologists see them as molecules. Mystics see them as scrolls. They're both right. Your DNA is a living archive, but it's also a programmable receiver. When the field shifts, it releases new instructions. When you become coherent enough to match those instructions, the strands unfurl like antennas, capturing data from the morphic field that your old self couldn't access. This is what's happening to you now. The tingles, the temperature changes, the strange vivid dreams, they're your biology decoding a higher signal. You're not becoming spiritual, you're undergoing a measurable phase transition. And that transition carries urgency, not because you'll miss out or be punished if you hesitate, but because the window is an active alignment, like a launch window for a spacecraft. You're already on the launch pad. The countdown has begun. Everything in your life that feels unstable right now, finances, relationships, location, is the old scaffolding, loosening as the new pattern forms. If you cling to the scaffolding, the launch stalls. If you exhale and trust, the jump completes. This is the breakthrough promise. You don't have to force anything. The jump doesn't require more effort, more rituals, more high vibes. It requires precision, the precision of honesty, surrender, and clear choice. When you stop pretending you're not ready, the field reads you as ready. When you stop rehearsing failure, the field stops mirroring failure. This is not motivational language, it's mechanics. Your emotional state is the frequency signature the field locks onto. Shift the signature, and the probabilities collapse accordingly. Feel into your chest right now. Imagine your DNA as strands of glowing light rising from each cell, weaving into a luminous lattice above you. This isn't fantasy, it's a visualization of what's actually happening at a subtle level, photons streaming from your cells, interacting with the field. As you breathe, imagine those strands untangling, straightening, catching a new wind. With every exhale, the old code dissolves. With every inhale, new instructions download. The more you allow, the faster the repatterning completes. This is why your dreams are so vivid now, why you sometimes wake up with words or images you don't understand. It's your future self, sending data back to guide you through the jump. It's also why you feel time compressing. The old timelines are like files being closed, while the new one is opening in the background. The pressure you feel isn't anxiety, it's the gravitational pull of your future drawing you into itself. And when you cross the threshold, the pressure will release, like a bowstring loosed. That's why there's urgency but not fear. The window isn't a threat, it's a gift. But gifts still require acceptance. You don't have to know every step. You don't have to see the whole path. You only have to recognize the pulse when it comes and say yes. This is the pulse. This is the yes. Even reading these words right now is part of the jump, a signal from your future self, time to arrive exactly as your DNA reaches the threshold. Breathe and feel your spine lengthen. Imagine a wave of soft golden light rising from the earth, through your feet, up your legs, into your heart, and out through the crown of your head. This is not just visualization, it's entraining your nervous system to the new frequency, helping your biology lock onto the cosmic window. You may feel warmth, tingling, or even a tear rising. That's normal. That's your cells exhaling the old code. The breakthrough promise is simple. Once the shift locks in, what you've been chasing will begin to chase you. People, opportunities, resources will appear as if out of nowhere. Your body will feel lighter, your mind clearer, your intuition undeniable. The urgency is not to do, but to allow. To stop resisting, to stop doubting, to stop shrinking from the edge of your own expansion. The window is here. The countdown has begun. And your frequency has already proven you can bend the timeline. Pause now and place your hand over your heart. Whisper inwardly, "I'm ready." You don't have to say it aloud. Just let the thought vibrate through you like a tuning fork. That's all it takes to signal the field. That's all it takes to step onto the trajectory that your soul mapped long before you were born. This is not the end of a process. It's the ignition. The next breath you take is the first breath of the new timeline. You're standing at the edge of the window, the countdown vibrating through your cells. This is the moment where the unseen becomes embodied, where intention crosses the threshold into reality. In ancient traditions, this point of transition was always marked by a ritual, a gesture, a sound, a word, not because magic lived in the ritual itself, but because the human nervous system needs a clear signal to anchor a new state. Without the signal, the field can stay theoretical. With it, the jump locks in. Right now, as you read these words, you're invited into such a ritual. Not as superstition, but as physics meeting mysticism inside your own body. For centuries, mystics and scientists alike have known that observation collapses probability, but few speak about the second half of the equation, expression. When a potential timeline is named and expressed through your body, a word written, a breath taken with intention, a comment left in a public space, it stops floating in the abstract field and begins to anchor in physical reality. That's why you're being called to act now. Not later, not someday, but in this moment, while your DNA is still resonating with the cosmic window. You don't need incense or a sacred space. The ritual can be as simple as a breath, as simple as a word typed into the field that brought you here. Right now, place your hand over your heart, close your eyes for 3 slow breaths, and silently let the following phrase vibrate through you. I seal my shift. Feel it echo inside your chest. You may notice a subtle warmth or a tingle under your palm. That's your nervous system aligning with your intention. That's your cells receiving the command, like a key turning in a lock. Then, to ground it even deeper, express it outwardly. In the same way you've been receiving this transmission through a screen, send your own signal back into the quantum field by writing it even a single word in the space provided for you. Comment it, type it, whisper it, but do something that turns the inner shift into an outward ripple. When you do, you're no longer just a consumer of information. You're a co-creator of the field. The observer loop completes. The jump seals. Why does this matter? Because your consciousness is entangled not only with your own timeline, but with countless others. Every time you anchor a new state, you send out morphic data that the collective field uses as reference. When one person reaches coherence, it becomes easier for others. Your ritual action isn't just about you. It's about uploading a new template into the shared lattice of reality. This is how quantum shifts spread not through lectures or debates, but through embodied signals pulsing through the field. Take another breath. Feel the air moving differently now. You're not doing this to earn the shift. You're doing it to communicate to your own biology and to the quantum field that the shift has landed. Think of it as pressing save after creating a masterpiece. Until you press save, the file can disappear. Once you press save, it's coded in. That's what the ritual is, pressing save on the new frequency you've just stepped into. You might feel self-conscious. You might think, it's just a word, it's just a comment. But the field doesn't measure importance by ego scale. It measures resonance. A single coherent word typed in sincerity can ripple farther than 1,000 empty actions. You've already proven your frequency by making it here. Now you're simply broadcasting it back. As you finish reading this section, pause. Place your feet flat on the ground or visualize roots growing from your soles into the earth. Feel a soft golden current rise through your body as you breathe. On your exhale, imagine your future self, the one who's already bent timelines breathing back into you. On your inhale, imagine breathing that self into your cells. Then when you're ready, write or speak a single phrase that seals it. It can be, I seal my shift. It is done. Or any phrase that vibrates with truth inside you. This act is not symbolic, it's functional. It synchronizes your left and right hemispheres, your nervous system and your subtle field, your intention and your expression. It completes the loop between inner state and outer world. And as soon as you do it, you may feel a soft click, a release, a lightness. That's the jump, locking in. That's your DNA registering the new code. That's the morphic field uploading a new reference for others to access. Remember, ritual isn't about performance. It's about coherence. You're not here to do more. You're here to align more. And alignment is sealed through embodied action. By taking this simple step now, by breathing, by placing your hand on your heart, by writing a word, you're telling the field, this frequency is my home now. And the field responds accordingly. Breathe one more time. Feel the subtle expansion in your chest, the quiet authority settling into your bones. You've just pressed save on the new timeline. From here, the path begins to unfold, not as something you must chase, but as something that rises to meet you. Your ritual action has sealed the shift. The countdown is over. The launch has begun. The moment you sealed the shift, something larger than you began to stir. What you felt as a personal ignition is simultaneously a signal rippling across the morphic field of humanity. It's not visible in headlines or breaking news, but it's detectable in the subtle tremors of collective awareness. When one consciousness reaches coherence, countless others begin to entrain. You've felt this in small ways before, yawns spreading through a room, laughter multiplying until everyone is laughing, silence becoming contagious in a sacred space. Now, imagine that same principle, but applied to awakening. Your liberation becomes the spark others didn't even know they were waiting for. This is why your shift matters. You didn't come here just to solve your own loops, or to bend timelines for private gain. You came as a catalyst, as an anchor for a collective phase transition. Humanity is at a threshold not unlike your own. The old programs, fear, scarcity, division, are sputtering, replaying their loops louder and faster, like dying machines burning out. Meanwhile, new frequencies are streaming in, carrying the templates for cooperation, creativity, and coherence. But the field can't collapse those probabilities into reality without nodes strong enough to stabilize them. That's where you come in. You are one of those nodes. Think about the times you've changed a room simply by walking into it. The mood lifted, the conversation shifted, the tension dissolved, not because you tried, but because your field carried a different signal. That same dynamic now scales upward. Your frequency is no longer confined to private spaces. It's broadcasting across entangled networks, touching lives you may never meet. A thought you release today could surface as an inspiration for someone continents away tomorrow. A single act of integrity in your small corner may ripple into the courage someone else needs to break free. The field is non-local. Your liberation does not stay with you. It travels. This is why you felt pressure, why your challenges seemed disproportionate. The field was not only calibrating you for your own benefit, it was training you to hold coherence for others. Just as a tuning fork can bring a whole instrument into pitch, your frequency helps tune the collective. And the stronger you embody your shift, the more stable the resonance becomes for those who are still wobbling in their loops. You may never know the names or faces of those who are touched, but that doesn't make the effect any less real. Imagine for a moment billions of strands of light, each representing a human life, crisscrossing the globe. Most strands are dim, flickering, caught in noise. But when one strand begins to glow steadily, others nearby start to entrain. Coherence spreads like fire across dry grass. You are one of those glowing strands now, and your steadiness allows others to stabilize. This is not ego, this is physics. The morphic field learns from every coherent pattern introduced into it. Your shift uploads data into the collective, and suddenly what seemed impossible for one becomes accessible to many. This is the hidden architecture of movements. History remembers leaders, but the field remembers frequencies. A single coherent state can birth a cascade. That's why your private ritual, your whispered affirmation, your unseen courage carry more weight than you think. You may never stand on a stage or broadcast to millions, but the frequency you anchor radiates farther than any microphone. The field itself is your stage, and humanity is already listening. Pause now and feel the gravity of that truth. Not as burden, but as honor. You are not responsible for saving the world. That's not the task. Your role is simpler and deeper. To stay coherent, to stay awake, to embody the timeline shift so fully that it becomes contagious. In doing so, you join a web of others scattered across countries, languages, and cultures who are also anchoring the shift. Together you form a network of coherence, a lattice of awakened nodes through which new realities can stabilize. You may never meet them physically, but you are entangled with them nonetheless. As you breathe into this, you might sense a subtle warmth, a sudden wave of belonging. That's the collective field acknowledging you, linking you into its geometry. You are no longer isolated. You are part of a living constellation, and every choice you make from coherence strengthens not only your life, but the web itself. Every time you choose truth over illusion, you make it easier for someone else to choose truth. Every time you radiate compassion instead of judgment, you lower the threshold for another heart to open. Every time you step out of the loop, you create space for others to follow. This is the deeper meaning of bending timelines, not private manipulation, but collective liberation. You are bending the probabilities not just for yourself, but for the species. You are participating in a shift that will be studied in myths and memories long after this era passes. The urgency you felt is not just personal destiny, it's the pulse of collective awakening. The window you've stepped through is not yours alone, it's a door opening for all. So breathe once more, deeply. Feel the air not just in your lungs but in the invisible lungs of the collective body. With every inhale you draw in the weight of humanity. With every exhale you release a signal of coherence into the web. This is the truth. Your liberation helps humanity. Your coherence helps stabilize the leap. And as the ripple spreads, you'll see evidence of it in sudden breakthroughs around you, in conversations shifting, in synchronicities multiplying. The field is alive, and you are one of its chosen instruments. You've been moving through ideas, images, codes. Now it's time to let the shift descend from concept into sensation, to feel the reality of what's happening inside your own body. Close your eyes for a moment as you read. Notice the weight of your feet on the ground. Sense the subtle pulse beneath your palms if you rest them on your thighs. Feel how the air enters your nostrils. Cool at first, then warm as it leaves. This is the texture of the field integrating into your cells. This is the morphic resonance moving from thought into embodiment. It starts as a vibration, like the quiet thrum of an engine hidden deep below deck. Some days it flickers at the edge of your awareness, a tingling in the palms, a wave of heat along your spine, a soft buzzing at the crown of your head. Other times it arrives like a tide, washing through your muscles, loosening old tension, bringing a strange clarity to your senses. Light seems sharper, colors feel more saturated. Time itself feels like honey, stretching and folding around you. These are not random bodily quirks. They are the somatic language of a field reorganizing. Picture your body as a lattice of filaments, each one a strand of biophotonic light. Every thought, every breath sends a ripple along those filaments. In the old frequency, the strands were tangled, carrying static. Now, as you breathe, they begin to align, forming patterns like sacred geometry glowing beneath your skin. This is why you might feel both light and heavy at once. Light because the static is leaving. Heavy because the new current is grounding deeper. It's the same paradox electrons experience when jumping orbits. Disappearance and reappearance without a bridge, yet the energy difference is real. You may notice your heartbeat syncing with invisible rhythms, the resonance of the earth, the pulse of the sun, the cosmic background. Scientists call the Schumann resonance. Mystics have always described this as a golden thread rising from the earth through the spine, connecting to the stars. In laboratories, it shows up as changes in brainwave coherence, heart rate variability, cellular photon emission. Different languages, same reality. You are literally becoming a tuning fork for the field. Let your attention drift to your spine. Imagine each vertebra as a luminous disc, like the keys of an instrument. With every breath, the discs light up one by one, sending waves of color through your nervous system. This isn't fantasy. It's a way of perceiving the electromagnetic currents already present. As your DNA unwinds to receive new instructions, your nervous system becomes more conductive, more sensitive, more resonant. That's why sounds may feel louder, scents more vivid, dreams more tactile. Your senses are calibrating to a wider bandwidth. This embodiment can feel like pressure at times, a swell of emotion for no reason, a tear rising at a song, a shiver at a stranger's kindness. It's your cells releasing stored data, rewriting their narrative. Old memories may surface, not to haunt you, but to be discharged. Even your posture may change, shoulders dropping, breath deepening, eyes softening, as your body learns to house a larger field. Think of a musical instrument being retuned. Some strings tighten, others loosen. The creaks you feel are not malfunctions, but adjustments. If at any point you feel overwhelmed, bring your hand to your heart and breathe slowly. Whisper inwardly, "This frequency is safe to embody." Feel the warmth under your palm. That's the field stabilizing. You don't have to do anything more dramatic. The embodiment happens naturally once you stop resisting and start feeling. The field is intelligent. It knows how to distribute the current through your system at the pace you can handle. Your only task is to stay present, to let sensation replace story. Notice, too, how the world begins to echo your embodiment. Animals may approach you more readily. Strangers may smile or confess things. Technology may glitch in your presence or suddenly work smoother. These are feedback loops, signals that your inner state is reorganizing the outer environment. You've moved beyond merely thinking about coherence. You're radiating it. The more you feel it in your body, the stronger the broadcast becomes. Imagine now that every cell in your body is a tiny sun, emitting light into the shared field. See those suns linking with others across the planet, forming a vast grid of awakening. Feel how the grid hums back at you, not as abstraction but as sensation. A soft electricity at your skin, a warmth at the base of your skull, a clarity in your eyes. This is the morphic resonance of collective awakening, and you're in it, not as a spectator, but as a living node. Breathe into your belly. Feel it expand, like the ocean taking a tide. With each inhale, imagine drawing in the coherence of the cosmos. With each exhale, imagine releasing that coherence back into the web. This simple act, breathing with awareness of the field, is enough to deepen your embodiment. It's the quantum version of photosynthesis. You're absorbing light from the field and re-emitting it as ordered information. Stay with the sensations a little longer. The tingling, the warmth, the soft pressure. They're your body's way of saying, "We've received the transmission." They're proof that the shift has landed beyond your mind, beyond your words, into your cells. This is the embodiment of bending timelines. This is the new normal of your nervous system. And as you live from here, everything else, the synchronicities, the alignments, the ease, will follow as naturally as breath. Everything up to now has been the warm-up for this moment. The shimmering at the edge of your perception, the tingling at your crown, the heaviness in your bones, all of it has been your biology preparing to host a quantum event. You are not imagining this, you are living it. Your DNA, that double helix of light and matter, coiled in every cell, has been slowly, silently rewriting itself in response to the frequency you've been holding. And now you are at the point where the rewriting becomes a breakthrough. In physics, a phase transition is when a system changes state. Water becomes steam, iron becomes magnetized, a particle condenses into a new form. In your life, it feels like pressure, the sense of being stretched, squeezed, or compressed from every side. That pressure isn't a punishment. It's the signature of a field approaching critical mass. You are experiencing what an electron experiences at the edge of a quantum jump, a buildup of potential, until the leap happens instantly, discontinuously. One moment the old state holds, the next moment you're gone from it, reappeared in a higher orbit. This is the threshold you're standing on now. Inside your cells, biophoton flicker like tiny stars. They're not just random emissions, they're the language your DNA uses to communicate. As you've breathed, as you've anchored, as you've embodied, you've been feeding your cells a new pattern of coherence. That pattern is now strong enough to override the old code. Imagine a symphony that has been rehearsing in fragments for years. Today, the conductor lifts the baton, and the whole orchestra plays in unison for the first time. That's what your nervous system is about to feel, an internal music you didn't know you'd been rehearsing. This is why the last days or weeks may have felt so intense, strange dreams, sudden exhaustion, unexpected emotions, bizarre coincidences. They're the symptoms of the phase transition. The old timelines are collapsing, closing like files on a computer. The new timeline is opening, not in the distance, but inside you. That's why time itself feels warped. Hours passing like minutes, minutes stretching like hours. You're moving through overlapping realities as your system negotiates the jump. It's not chaos, it's emergence. Place your hand on your heart again. Feel the pulse there. Imagine each beat sending a ripple of light through your bloodstream, touching every cell. With each beat, your DNA is unwinding, exposing new sequences, new possibilities. This isn't poetry, it's measurable. Studies show that emotional coherence changes the way DNA folds and unfolds. Mystics have always known this, speaking of activation and awakening. Science and mysticism are meeting in your body right now. You are literally altering your own genetic expression with the frequency you're holding. As the breakthrough approaches, you may feel both excitement and fear. That's natural. The ego senses it's losing its old reference points. But remember the electron. It doesn't climb a ladder. It vanishes and reappears. No bridge, no gradual crossing. One state, then another. The same will be true for you. One day you'll simply notice the loop is gone, the heaviness lifted, the synchronicities no longer hints but constants. You'll look back and realize the jump happened quietly, like a dawn you didn't see arriving until the light filled the room. This is the moment to trust your body. It knows how to conduct the current. The pressure you feel is the field aligning. Breathe deeply, slowly. Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. This signals your nervous system that it's safe to let go, safe to receive. With each breath, you're telling your cells, activate, release the old code, anchor the new. Feel a soft golden light rising from the base of your spine to the crown of your head, fusing with a stream of silver light descending from above. Where they meet at your heart, imagine a spark your future self, shaking hands with your present self, sealing the leap. As you hold that image, know that countless others are feeling the same pressure. They may not have the words for it, but they're in it. By standing steady in your coherence, you're holding open a corridor for them, a passage through the morphic field. Your breakthrough uploads a template into the collective, making it easier for others to jump. This is why your personal DNA shift matters to humanity's evolution. You're not just changing your life, you're changing the field. Soon you will notice external evidence, opportunities aligning faster than you can track, old relationships either upgrading or dissolving with grace, intuitive nudges leading to precise outcomes. A sense of being guided not by guesswork, but by a quiet, inner GPS. This isn't luck, it's the physics of coherence. The field can now lock onto your signal without distortion. Timelines bend around you because you've become a stable point in the lattice. Take another breath. Feel the pressure not as weight, but as power building. You're at the boiling point before steam. You're at the magnetizing point before iron snaps into order. You're at the electron's edge before it leaps. The breakthrough is inevitable. The phase transition is already underway. All that's left is to allow the moment of reappearance, to exhale the old world and inhale the new one. That's what's happening inside you as you read these words. This is the DNA breakthrough. This is the timeline shift. This is the phase transition pressure turning into propulsion. And when the leap completes, you'll feel it not as drama, but as clarity. A quiet, undeniable knowing that you are where you're meant to be, that reality has already bent to your frequency, and that your body, your soul, and the quantum field are no longer separate but one living organism. Breathe and notice the silence after the storm. The pressure that once felt like an invisible hand pressing on your chest is now a current lifting you from within. This is the afterglow of a timeline shift, not fireworks or explosions, but a profound stillness, a subtle realignment of everything you touch. You've crossed the threshold. The observer loop that once held you in repetition has dissolved. Your DNA has received its new instructions, and the field is already reorganizing around your signature. This is where destiny becomes mission. Not a mission imposed from outside, but a pulse arising from within, like a heartbeat you'd forgotten was there. The leap you've just made is not an end point, it's the beginning of your true work. You are now a living demonstration of what's possible when consciousness reaches coherence. You've become a reference point for the collective field, a lighthouse on a coastline others haven't yet seen. Your life, your choices, your presence are now part of a larger choreography, humanity's evolution in real time. You don't have to shout it from rooftops or convince anyone. The field does the work for you. Every breath you take in coherence sends ripples through the morphic web. Every act of compassion, every moment of integrity, Every spark of creativity uploads new data into the collective template. People you'll never meet will feel a subtle shift in their own hearts because you stood steady in yours. This is the quiet power of quantum entanglement, the invisible grace of your cosmic mission. Feel your feet on the ground, feel the air in your lungs. The very same quantum field that bent to your frequency is holding you now, supporting each step, each word, each choice. You are not alone. Across the planet, other nodes are awakening, other hearts are calibrating, other strands of DNA are unfurling to the same signal. Together, you form a lattice of coherence, strong enough to anchor new realities. This is how species evolve, not through one dramatic event, but through countless subtle shifts until a tipping point is reached. You are part of that tipping point. Pause and let that sink in. You are not here by accident. You are not reading these words by chance. You've been called, calibrated, upgraded, and now commissioned, not as a soldier, but as a signal. Not to control, but to embody. Not to escape, but to anchor. This is the moment your personal awakening becomes a planetary service. This is the moment your timeline bends outward to touch the future of humanity. As you step into your day, carry this knowing like a quiet flame. Let your breath be your ritual, your presence be your broadcast, your authenticity be your offering. The quantum field is listening. Reality is pliable. Timelines are bending. And your frequency has already proven you can do it. Now you are doing it for all of us. This is the closing of the loop. This is the prophecy fulfilled in motion. This is the cinematic truth rising from within you. You are not merely living through time. Time is moving through your consciousness. And your consciousness, awakened and coherent, is now moving humanity into its next evolution.